Reddit, I need your judgment. This is a throwaway because my town is nosy and my students lurk. For almost a year, I built my life around my wife's pregnancy, the ultrasounds on the fridge, the baby names, the budget spreadsheets. Then a rideshare receipt and a grocery list note cracked the story open. What I found looked like love, smelled like dryer sheets and sunscreen, and turned out to be a con. It was a humid July night in our Florida suburb, the kind where sprinklers click on like metronomes and the air smells faintly of cut grass and sunscreen. I teach high school history. Summer means slower mornings and grading AP essays at the dining table. My wife, Ava, 30, wedding planner, had fallen asleep on the couch under a throw blanket, laptop open to a blush and gold mood board. Around midnight, her phone lit the room. Lyft ride. Confirmed. 12:03 a.m. Pick up Valencia Drive. I squinted. We share a car. Her Corolla was in the driveway. The Lyft pickup was 2 streets over, at a cul-de-sac where no clients live. I told myself it was for a frantic bride, some timeline crisis. I tapped the notification and the trip expanded. Drop off Harbor Suites. Westfield at 12:14 a.m. My stomach lurched. Ava stirred. You still up? She mumbled, sliding a hand to her belly the way she'd been doing since May. Baby's tap dancing. Go back to sleep, I said, voice too even. Another buzz. Aisle registry. Runner Rye added crib 899. I had never heard of that account name. Our registry was under Leo Ava June. The AC kicked on and the vent coughed cool air. The room suddenly felt refrigerated and wrong. I should have woken her up, asked for context. Instead, I did the cowardly thing. I took a screenshot, emailed it to myself, and tucked the phone back under her hand like I'd never touched it. On the coffee table, the candle we'd burned to keep mosquitoes away still stank of citronella. I stared at the ceiling fan until the blades blurred. Morning smoothed everything. I made pancakes and coffee, and Ava shuffled in wearing my college t-shirt, hair in a messy bun, smelling like dryer sheets. The scent that clung to her even in June, because she ran every load on extra fresh. She rubbed her belly and kissed my cheek. Name ideas today? She asked brightly. I dreamed he was Finn. I told myself the Lyft could be business. Wedding planners have emergencies. The Harbor Suites host receptions. Runners, not me, like late-night jogs. I loaded reasons like sandbags on a levee and called my sister, Nora, therapist in training, on the drive to Publix. You're catastrophizing, I said before she could. You're going to tell me rideshares happen. Nora didn't rush. I'm going to ask if you want to know, she said. Sometimes we prefer the movie we've been watching. I stocked the cart with prenatal crackers and ginger ale like a good husband. When a woman in the aisle asked how far along we were, I said, 20 weeks, and it gave me vertigo to hear my mouth move. On the way home, I passed a billboard for Harbor Suites. Stay where love begins. It looked like a dare. That afternoon, Ava texted, meeting with a florist, don't wait up. Baby wants peonies. I typed, want me to drive? She replied with a heart and a flower emoji. Our Corolla didn't move all night. Denial is industrious. I assembled the crib we'd ordered, not the pricey Rye one, sanded the corners, and held my phone up for a time-lapse so we'd have a sweet montage someday. When I finished, sweat salt stung my eyebrows, and the nursery smelled like fresh wood and sunscreen from my arms. I stood there, hands on my hips, a parody of a man ready for fatherhood. Ava is a list person color-coded Trello boards, Post-its on the fridge. Saturday morning, I found a new one pinned under a magnet shaped like a pineapple. Groceries. It read, Lem 0N, 1214, Westfield, 4-fob, 83 doc. I laughed out loud. Lemons, sure? But 1214, 4 fobs? I opened our shared notes app on my laptop. The grocery list existed there too, but with a second page. When I swiped right, the header changed to Runner Rye. It was a string of timestamps and addresses, all clustered around late nights. Embedded was a link to a private TikTok, Runner Rye. The profile picture showed the corner of a mouth. Someone's idea of mysterious. I requested to follow and got the spinning pending circle. The nursery camera started doing that thing where you think it's staring back. I closed the laptop and sat on the floor, heart thudding against my sternum. The citrus cleaner smell from mopping earlier looked innocent. Every smell does, until it becomes forensic evidence. I called my best friend Mateo, who has the world's most pragmatic voice. I think Ava's account is runner rye, and that she's meeting someone at Harbor Suites, I said without preamble. Do you want to be a detective or a husband? He asked. I want to not be an idiot. Then collect, he said. Don't confront with vibes. Get times, places, photos. Info matters. That night I used Find My to set an alert on Ava's phone and paired the Corolla's app to my account. At 12:06 a.m., Find My pinged, but the car didn't move. A lift did. The Corolla slept under the live oak, its windshield peppered with tiny oval leaves that smell like pepper when crushed. Sunday afternoon, sun hammering the driveway, I opened the aisle registry confirmation that had buzzed at midnight. The account name Runner Rye had a bio. First time mama running toward light. The shipping address was a P.O. box. The only contributor was M. No last name. The comments on the crib were gross. Can't wait to see you here. With a hotel pin dropped like a dog marking. I clicked around, fingers sweating on the trackpad. There was a second registry under Ava's real name with basic stuff onesies, muslin swaddles, and 2 contributors, me and her mom. Runner Rye had no overlap with ours. It had bigger ticket, influencer-y choices and a suspiciously curated vibe. Product photos looked like they came from other people's boards. Under Notes, on one item I saw, Let's stick to cash will explain. M. It wasn't even trying to hide. Ava came home flushed and sunscreen glossy, a ring of salt dried at her hairline. Florist meltdown, she announced, setting peonies on the counter. She pecked my cheek, then pulled back. You smell like the garage. Been organizing, I said. Did you add something to the registry? It sent me a weird alert. She froze, then beamed with fabricated relief. Oh, that must be for my client's baby shower. I'm helping her set it up. She wanted something fun for the theme name. Runner Rye? I said. She ran track. Ava's smile didn't touch her eyes. You're cute when you do detective voice. She breezed into the shower, leaving a dryer sheet sweetness in her wake. I stared at the peonies until they looked like brains. I asked Nora to come over under the pretense of taste-testing cupcakes for my students' club fundraiser. We sat at the dining table while the ceiling fan stirred the citrus cleaner air. Tell me how to think, I said, and showed her the lift receipts, the registry, the notes, the runner. Rye request pending. Nora didn't gasp. Okay, she said. I can't diagnose anyone, but I can help you get to proof. Do you have access to the Harbor Suites account? Does Ava have a second phone? What about the car fobs? We have 2 fobs, I said. Or, we should. We should have, but the bowl by the door held only 1, and Ava usually kept hers in her tote. Nora texted her partner, who is a locksmith and part-time saint, and we learned something I did not know. Many hotels now use key-fob entry logs. The locksmith friend, legally, could tell me nothing, but he had a buddy at Harbor Suites who, illegally, could. This is the part where I confess I didn't stop him. The next day, while Ava took a nap she swore was second trimester exhaustion, I got a PDF in my email. Entry log suite 412, June to July. In neat columns, the fob ID M412 stamped in and out between 12:10 and 2 a.m. most nights. Another fob labeled guest appeared every Thursday, same window. The last column said notes. An entry read, front desk delivered prenatal basket. When I confronted her that night, did you stay at Harbor Suites? She blinked slowly, then met me with weaponized calm. Leo, I'm worried, she said. You're obsessing. This isn't good for the baby. You added a second registry with a P.O. box. I plan showers for a living. You took lifts at midnight while our car didn't move. Because you track the car. That's controlling. The pivot was masterful. The room felt smaller. She reached for my hand and squeezed. I love you, she whispered. Please stop making stress. I'm not proud of what I did next. I smiled, nodded, and said, okay. Then I put a GPS tile in her tote. The tile app chirped at 11:58 p.m. Ava's tote, moving harbor. Suites Westfield. I dressed quietly and texted Mateo. Don't talk me out of it. He texted back a single seatbelt emoji, which in our language means bring proof. The Harbor Suites lobby was over-air conditioned, the kind of clean that smells like elevator brass warm metal, lemon polish. I sat by a planter and pretended to scroll. At 12:14, the elevator opened, and a man in a running tank and wedding band tan line stepped out, laughing into his phone. I recognized him. Ryan, Ava's runner friend from college, the guy who'd commented on Ava's old photos with too many fire emojis. He headed to the vending machine, bought a vitamin water, and slipped back into the elevator. I took photos time-stamped, location on hand steady like I was proctoring an exam. Then I did something small and mean. I went to the front desk and bought a new father gift bag. In the elevator mirror, I looked pale and absurd. Suite 412 had a doorbell. I didn't ring it. I slid the bag under the door with a note. Congrats on baby Rye, L. I drove home in a hot, insect-loud night. The tile showed Ava leaving at 1:58 a.m. Florist emergency, she claimed in the morning, curling into me, smelling like hotel soap and dryer sheets. After she showered, I opened the washer and found a hand towel with Harbor Suites embroidered along the edge. It smelled like somebody else's idea of clean. Here's where the story bends. 2 days later, Ava waved a printout in the kitchen. Ultrasound, she sang. The grainy photo looked like every ultrasound you've seen, alien profile, swoop of a head, a white arrow labeled boy. It had our last name printed in the corner and a date. She taped it to the fridge, right over my AP syllabus calendar. Nora, who has a 6-year-old and a file cabinet brain, stared at the photo and frowned. Where's the practice name? She asked. They all brand those. There wasn't one. The bottom right had microtype. So small, we needed a photo. Zoomed in. 2017, stock IMG 1244. Nora inhaled. I've seen this exact image on a Facebook ad. I said, no, like a child. Nora asked for permission to call Ava's claimed OB. I said yes. The office wouldn't share patient info, of course. But when Nora said we had a photo with their banner removed, the receptionist said their prints are never square. They're oval tagged with the practice logo. She sounded tired, like this wasn't her first rodeo with paperwork drama. A different kind of bile bubbled in my chest. That night, I checked Ava's prenatal vitamins and scanned the QR code on the bottle. It led to a hair and skin supplement that uses a pregnancy-friendly label to sell to everyone. The pharmacy receipt in the bag was for spironolactone and acne medication you're supposed to stop when pregnant. I snapped photos, hands shaking so hard the camera focused on the citrus bowl behind the bottle. When I finally confronted her, Ava's face did a contortion shock, then anger, then a wobble of tears. I lied at first, she admitted, voice small. Then it became easier to keep going. You seemed so happy. And my business needed the optics. The optics. Expecting gets bookings, she said flatly. You don't understand how brides think. There it was. Not a baby, but marketing. Ava's confession didn't end the story. It split it. She swore that Ryan was just a friend, that the hotel was a place to think. She said the second registry was a brand collab, the P.O. box used for influencer privacy. She said the lift was because you track the car, and she needed space. She said the OB ultrasound was a template. I photoshopped it to show you what ours would look like. She ended with the soft thread of a tear. Don't make me the villain for making us happy. I slept at Mateo's on his too-short couch, sweating under a fan that rattled. The apartment smelled like cumin, and the sunscreen we'd both slathered on earlier for a pickup soccer game we didn't play because I couldn't stop scrolling the registry comments. One from M. Next week's our 12:14. I stared until the numbers unmoored. My principal called to say a parent had complained about my attitude in summer school. I realized I had teared up in class when a kid presented on the power of propaganda, and I'd had to tell 20 teenagers I was allergic to the AC. Nora sat me on her balcony and said, "Choose your path. Document and leave, or document and negotiate. Either way, document." I saved everything to a folder named Seatbelt. Fobs, rideshares, registries, hotel towel, the pharmacy receipt, screenshots of the ultrasounds metadata. I made an appointment with a family attorney who used the phrase pattern of misrepresentation and didn't blink. The sunscreen smell on my forearms suddenly made me nauseous. Summer had turned into a costume I didn't want to wear. I asked Ava to meet me at Sunny's, the breakfast place with plastic lemons on every table, and a habit of playing 90s soft rock too loud. I picked it because of Windows and because there's no way to talk quietly over Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. "I can fix this," she said, sliding into the booth. She looked polished and harmless, every hair in place smelling like dryer sheets and hand sanitizer. "You can't fix a baby that never existed," I said, and laid out the evidence like a lesson plan. Lift logs, Harbor Suites entry logs, registry screenshots, the spironolactone receipt, the stock ultrasound metadata. She didn't reach for the papers, she reached for me. "You're cruel," she said, voice trembling into a whisper designed for witnesses. "You're humiliating me in public." "That's the point," I said quietly. "Witnesses." She tried another tactic. "We can spin this. We can say we miscarried. People will send flowers. My followers will forgive me if I cry on camera." "That's the most monstrous sentence you've ever said," I replied. In the afternoon, I filed for legal separation on grounds of fraud and requested that our finances be temporarily decoupled. Ava's business had been run out of our joint account. My attorney said the word restitution while I half listened to the whir of the ceiling fan in his office and the tick of his wall clock. The air smelled like old books. Edit. A few hours after Sunny's, Runner Rye went private. A close friend DM'd me a screenshot she'd saved from that morning. A post featuring our crib, captioned, "We did a thing." The comments were a split-screen half hard eyes, half knives. Someone wrote, "That's a Wayfair photo." Another wrote, "Isn't spironolactone unsafe?" Ava turned off comments, then deleted the post. She texted me, "Hope you're happy." I wasn't. In August, the afternoons turned thunderous and the evenings golden as a lemon. I moved into a small apartment behind a Bagel King, where it smells like warm dough at 6 a.m. and garlic by noon. I repainted the bedroom a cool gray that made the air feel honest. The baby things went in boxes labeled donation except for one, a tiny onesie that says, "World's okayest dad." I kept it, not as a memorial to a pretend son, but as a joke about the standards all of us fail. Ava sent a long email apologizing to me and to the community for letting the pressure of entrepreneurship twist my integrity. She claimed Ryan was just helping me train, that the hotel was a neutral planning spot, that the fobs were vendor access. She did not mention the ultrasound. She hinted at health issues that made pregnancy complicated, and I recognized the new narrative sympathy, not accountability. I didn't respond. Nora and I took evening walks under a sky the color of overripe peaches, talking about nothing, her cat's weird sneezes, my fall syllabus, the neighbor who grilled in the rain. On one loop, she said, "You kept trying to save the version of her you married. What if you stop?" I stopped. I let the parking lot crickets be loud. Let the smell of sunscreen on passing joggers not gut me anymore. Here's my reflection, and you can tag it with info if you want. Not every betrayal is about sex. Sometimes it's about story. Ava needed a story where she was a glowing mother-to-be. I was supposed to be the warm, uncomplaining husband who took charming time lapses while money and admiration flowed. When the story buckled under truth, she reached for a different story. Miscarriage, trolls, haters. I couldn't live inside her script anymore. My decision was legal, not explosive. Separate finances, keep the house sale fair, ask for restitution where the law allows, and never lie for her. I won't do strategic revenge. Peace is hard enough. If you've read this far and you're a spouse who smells dryer sheets and sunscreen at odd hours and thinks you're going crazy, here's my advice. Collect, don't catastrophize. Screenshots are seatbelts. Fobs leave footprints. Ultrasounds have metadata. Once you have facts, decide which version of your life you want to live. The sprinklers click on every night outside my new window. I open the blinds and let the lemon light spread across the floor. I breathe. Not because the air is pure. It's a Florida summer. It's never pure, but because it's mine.